Hey folks, Alan Mandic, the Hot Rod Hippie here with more SEMA 2019 coverage. I'm bringing you stuff for OBS Chevys. OBS Chevys are the 88 to 98 Chevy pickup trucks. Personally, they are one of my favorite generations. I have a soft spot for those personally, and there were more than a few products on display for them at SEMA 2019. I have more SEMA 2019 coverage coming for you in the very near future. If you can't tell by my voice, I've been very sick since I left Las Vegas, and I've been unable to bring you more stuff in a timely manner, but there will be more coming in the very near future. So let's get into this.
SEMA 2019 coverage is brought to you by the fine folks at Trick Tools, high-performance tools for fabricators, and home of the no-junk guarantee. SEMA coverage is also brought to you by the folks at Sunex Tools, high-quality hand tools, shop equipment, and tool storage options at affordable prices. Links in the description down below.
Now, 88 to 98 Chevy trucks never really went away. They've always been a popular option for customizing, building work trucks and custom trucks and lifted and lowered and solid axle swapped. There's a lot of things you can do with these trucks. And I've owned a couple of them over the years myself. What I looked at was mostly street suspension components that were available at SEMA 2019 for these trucks. First up is from the folks at Choppin Block chassis components. These are billet CNC drop spindles for your OBS pickup truck. Now, these allow you to use the hub bearings off of a newer GMT400, the newer style body truck, and this will allow you to have a ton of brake kit options. It gives you a 2.5-inch drop on the spindle. Instead of using the old cast iron spindles that have the built-in caliper mounts and limit your options when it comes to brake kits, this will allow you to have the modular design of the newer kits. So you can put the big Willwood brake kits on there, the big Bear kits, all the different options that are out there on the market. There are a lot of them for those newer trucks you just couldn't previously use on the older ones. Now with this kit, you can. It's running about $835, $850. So it's not the cheapest thing on the market, but in the end, it will open a world of options for your build. Now let's move on to full bolt-in suspension kits. We've got the folks over at Ridetech. Ridetech had on display one of their new setups for 88 to 98 Chevy trucks. It really gave me some nostalgic vibes for being a new kit though. The thing about this thing is it looks so much like their old road grader setups from back in the day when they used to be known as Air Ride Technologies. Back when they got started as Air Ride Technologies, they used to do a lot of S10 pickup truck stuff, and this looks very much like the kits they used to sell for those. It uses a wishbone upper control arm for a 3-link rear suspension design. It's a full bolt-in kit, and that wishbone eliminates the need for a panhard bar. So it controls your lateral rear suspension design, and it gives you a central link on there. If it's greasable, it's a ball joint style link that will allow for good suspension articulation for a good ride quality. Being as it's Ridetech, you can either run coilover suspension with their newer design of coilovers, their high quality Fox shock designed coilovers, or you can use their shockwaves for an air ride suspension design. I am personally not a fan of shockwaves. I think they have far too little suspension travel for what they are, but a lot of people have built vehicles with shockwaves. I've built vehicles for customers with shockwaves, and they have been happy. This is a bolt-in kit with a C-notch in there, so you can get this thing down a little bit lower. You can either have the coilover design, or you can have the adjustable height with the air ride suspension, and it bolts into the original leaf spring hangers of your frame. So the nice thing about this kit is it does maintain a lot of your original frame, so it is a slightly more affordable kit than the other ones we're going to talk about in a moment. However, this does mean that your frame needs to be in pretty decent condition to use this stuff. I've done a fair amount of rust repair on these trucks over the years, and I've had to replace those leaf spring hangers. I've had to replace cross members around the rear. So this does replace some of that stuff, but not all of it. So you're really gonna have to take into account how good your frame is before you start using a kit like this. They quoted me $2,000 for the rear suspension here, but that is without coilovers. Coilovers bring it up to $2,700, and if you wanna go with air ride, it's $2,925, but that is without any control system for the air ride. That is just with the shock waves. Front suspension on this is tubular upper and lower control arms. You got drop spindles, new spindles there. They are from the folks at McGaughey. They are not the nice Ridetech spindles that they use on some of their other kits. There are some of the cast iron spindles that have been around on the market for years now. And of course, you've got some of their Ridetech, either shockwaves or the coilovers yet again. Now, if you want to go with a full front and rear kit, tubular control arms, bolt-on kit, you're looking around $5,700 and a little bit more if you want to go with air ride. Moving on to the folks at Ridetech, we have another company doing a bolt-in suspension kit for these trucks, and it is the folks at QA1. Now this really impressed me. It caught my eye. The folks at QA1 really seem to put some time and effort into their suspension geometry designs. They don't just bolt things where they originally went and make things as straightforward and simple as they can, because they're looking to make sure it is a well-performing suspension. This is a full bolt-in suspension kit, but it uses less of the original frame than the folks at Ridetech were using. You have more replacement cross members here. You're not using the original leaf spring hangers for the front link mounts. You have new adjustable designs. And that's the thing really that caught my eye here, is there's a lot of adjustability here. So you can adjust for ride height. You can adjust for ride height with a Ridetech setup, but you're not going to be able to adjust your suspension geometry. That is fixed. With the QA1 kit, you can adjust that. So if you're actually looking to build a real autocross track type vehicle, drag racing setup, and you want to say a 5-inch drop, not a 7-inch drop, which you can get down to a 7-inch rear drop with this kit, you can do that with the QA1 kit, and you can adjust so you can have your suspension where you want it. Or maybe you want that full 7-inch drop, but you find you want a different instance center on your rear suspension because it handles a little better in your eyes in that different design. You can play with that here. That means you have more options to screw things up, but also it just gives you the adjustability, the options to actually make those adjustments if you wish. The QA1 kit is also using, similar to the Ridetech setup, a new bolt-on cover for your rear differential that allows the mounting of the torque arm that is part of the suspension design. This is kind of a 2-link, 3-link torque arm rear suspension that QA1 seems to really favor, and I can understand for actual torque applications that seems like a pretty good option. That does require using your original rear here as well. So you're talking about using a GM10 bolt. If you're really pumping up the power here, you're running a supercharged LS1 or something, that could be an issue for you. So that's something you might need to think about when you're speccing out a build with a kit like this. Up in the front suspension design, similar to the folks over at Ridetech, you've got a upper and lower control arm tubular suspension setup. You can also get drop spindles to go with these, but they were not really showing those as part of this kit. You have a basic front kit that uses the original mounting location for the original front coil spring on the two-wheel drive chassis, or you have the more advanced kit that uses a newer replacement upper where you cut out the coil bucket and it uses a longer coilover so you can get more adjustability, you can get a better quality coilover. That is the more premium kit if you were looking to really spec this whole setup out. Unfortunately, I lost my notebook that had the pricing information from QA1 in it. Just with my sick mind, I unfortunately just wasn't keeping track of things as well as I should have been. I have a message into the folks at QA1 trying to get some updated information. I know for a fact that this kit was more expensive than the Ridetech kit, but not by much. If I had to guess, trying to remember, I think it was somewhere between $6,000 and $6,500 for the full front and rear kit from the folks at QA1. So that's not that much more than the Ridetech kit. And the design really seems to be a few steps above that more simple bolt-in suspension design. So if you're looking for a more track-oriented, drag racing, autocross, this might be the way to go for you. Now the last setup we're going to talk about is the folks at Gsi Machine and Fab. These folks are all about air suspension, slammed out, lay-in frame, lay-in pinch weld. Folks after my own heart, really. This is a full, complete chassis for your 88 to 98 truck. I alluded to a little bit ago, when you're talking about those other bolt-in kits from the other folks, you do have to use your chassis. So if you have a chassis that is not in good shape, you want to build one of these trucks, now you got to find a chassis just to bolt a bolt-in suspension into. That's adding levels and difficulty to your project. This, from the folks at Gsi Machine and Fab, can allow you to actually put together a full truck without having to worry about the condition of your original frame. They're also, of course, designing their frames for tucking big wheels and tires into these things. The full chassis comes with a 9-inch rear end, so if you're putting out something like this that has a supercharged LS-based engine in it, putting down some serious horsepower, you don't have to worry about that 10-bolt that was in your truck before. Now you can get that upgraded rear design, or you can get it without and use your original rear axle as you see fit as well. Now, going along with this full frame is definitely a bigger project. You're going to need your full air ride suspension components, your tanks, your valves, your ride height control systems. You're going to need to consider raising your bed floor in the back of your truck or just cutting out your bed floor on the truck. You're going to have all kinds of things. You're going to have to replace the original fuel tank with a new fuel tank. You're going to have to do a full build when you're talking about a chassis like this. If you're looking to turn your work truck into a toy, this might be a little bit more than you're looking to bite off. Also with this one, I did not get pricing, unfortunately. Judging off of their other kits and components that they have going, you're probably looking somewhere over $7,000 to $10,000, depending how you option out one of these frames, with the rear section for the 9-inch or a full 9-inch or not getting a 9-inch, you're going to want to hit up the folks at Gsi Machine and Fab to get a full quote from them to see how much one of these chassis is going to cost you on your project. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I threw links in the description down below to these different companies, and if the kits and components are available, you'll find those links in the description down below. At the moment, I think the only ones that are really fully available are the folks at Ridetech, have their stuff. All right, folks, that is going to wrap it up this video. Drop it a like if you found it interesting. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of the OBS trucks, the 88 to 98s? Like I said, they really do have a special place in my heart. I've owned a handful of them over the years. I had a solid axle lifted one that was a project of mine at one point. I've had slightly lowered ones. I've had work trucks that just got me from point A to point B. And really, I'd like to see myself build a truck with that QA1 kit personally. Maybe down the road, that's something that'll happen. We'll see. Go ahead and subscribe to keep up to date with more SEMA content and regular Hot Rod Hippie content. Thanks for coming around, folks.